Hi all, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. So for today's card project, we're going to use watercolor cardstock from Ranger. We're going to use the Spellbinders Must Have Sentiments by Simon Hurley, the Glimmer Hot foil plate, and then the Mom Spring flower set from Simon. So let's jump right into the card making. So that card that just popped up in the right hand corner, that's what we're going to make today. I'm starting out with a piece of watercolor cardstock from Ranger. I cut that down using the A2 layering dies from Waffle Flower. I used the third layer down in the set. As you can see, my stamp is a little dirty. It's because I use this one quite a bit, but that's okay. It just shows it's a well-loved stamp. It won't affect this technique at all. So today I'm going to show you how to do Emboss to Resist. This is an old stamp technique that's been around forever. It's a really fun one. So let's get started. So you just saw me take my embossing powder tool and rub the embossing powder over the entire piece of cardstock. I'm using a tool, it's a fairly new tool from Simon Says Stamp. It helps remove all the static cling from the cardstock. It helps prevent the embossing powder from sticking on the part of the cardstock that it hasn't been stamped on. And if you don't, you might get little specks of embossing powder everywhere. So now I took the embossing ink and I covered the whole stamp with the embossing ink, and I stamped it onto the cardstock with my stamp pressure tool to make sure it transferred over. So there we go. Now we're getting set up to do the embossing part. So I get out my heat gun. So this is just a piece of cheap cardstock that I'm putting under my project to help catch the excess of the embossing powder. So you want to take the embossing powder and pour it over the stamped image, making sure everything is completely covered. I'm using the fine detail white embossing powder from Simon Says. And then you want to tap the excess powder off. And then we collect the remaining powder, and you can either use a tray or the piece of scrap paper, just like I'm using here, and pour it back into the container. So we have this clothespin here. This is going to help keep it secure. And then we have the heat gun all ready to go. It's nice and hot. Okay, now that the heat gun is ready to go, we are going to take it over to the cardstock and we're going to melt the powder that we just poured over the stamped image. I think you can start seeing it turn white here on the camera. See, I told you the black would just get covered by the white embossing powder. So you just want to make sure everything is melted. There we go. And just kind of help flatten it out. So it looks all melted and nice and shiny. And so now we're gonna, see, there we go. Yep, nice and shiny, all covered and melted. So now we're gonna set up to do some ink blending. So I'm setting up my ink cubes here. I'm using this really cool ink pad holder from Simon Says Stamp. As you can see, it's really nice. It holds all the little ink cubes just perfectly. So I have a selection of Lawn Fawn ink cubes that I picked out for this project. This is what's going to help bring this card to life. So now that we're ready to add the color to the card, I'm bringing in my blender brushes, and that is a really cool holder for the brushes. It's from Waffle Flower, and it fits right into the ink cube holder perfectly. So now we're going to add the color to the card panel here. So I sped this up so you can see me do it fast. You don't have to watch me do it in real time. It takes a little bit to add the color. So all the supplies that I'm using in today's video will be listed in the description box below. I will have affiliate links included, and if you purchase items from the affiliate links, that helps me out. Thank you. So I ran out of paper towels the other day in my craft room, so I was just using a microfiber cloth there to help clean the brushes in between the different colors that I'm using here. To add more depth to the stamped images, you want to try adding more of the same color used for the blending. So I'm just using 3 or 4 different colors here. I like the pink on the far left there. I think that's, I can't remember what color that is, but like I said, I will have it listed in the description box below after I'm done with the video today. As I'm doing this voiceover, you might hear some breathing and panting and snoring in the background. Sorry if you hear that. I have 2 old dogs that always hang out in my craft room with me while I craft, and they sleep all day long since they're old. So sorry about that. I don't know if you can hear it at all. Do you have any pets that hang out in your craft room with you? Let me know in the comments below. So the panel's almost done. I'm just filling in the remaining areas here. I know this kind of looks like a hot mess, but trust me, it all comes together. At least in my opinion, it does. Let me know what you think when you see it at the end. There we go, bringing in a few more of the pinks, kind of smooth it all together. Trying to light up that green there. That green looks kind of dark. I think it gets blended in there with the pink. There we go. Kind of smoothing it all over. And that part is done. And now we're just taking the microfiber cloth to wipe over the white stamped area. So you can use a paper towel or a rag or a microfiber cloth to buff the ink off the embossed images, as you saw me do there. The embossed images will resist the sponged ink. The darker colors are that you use with the resist, the more it will pop. And now it's time to put the card together. But first, I wanted to try this. This is something that I always see Amy R do, and I really wanted to add some splatter to it to see what it looked like. So I'm using some gold watercolor here in my fan brush that I have in my stash, and splattering over the cardstock. And then I also get out a white watercolor because I think it just needed some more splatter, and it's fun. I can see why Amy R likes to do it on her cards. So here we go. And I just sprayed some water in there to kind of help get it all nice and wet. And there we go. See, that's fun. I'm not sure how it looks, but I think it looks really neat. Anyways, on to the next part. So now to put away the splat box, that's what we use to keep the watercolor from getting all over the place when we were splattering. So now it's time to assemble the card. And again, I'm using the Hero Art top folded note cards. They are a great time saver. Off camera, I went ahead and I cut out that gold matte for the card panel here. I think it looks really sharp with the splatter, the gold splatter that I did. So now we are getting out our Gina K dot runner here, adding it to the back. I had some on there previously. I wanted to put some more on there to make sure it was secure. So now we line this up to the card base. There we go, perfect. So I just love that gold matte cardstock. It makes everything great. So now we're going to get out the Altenew foam tape for some dimension. This is some thin foam tape, so it just adds a little bit. So I'm just using my detailed scissors over there to cut it out. I'm going to be adding 4 strips to the back here to make it sturdy. There we go. One more done. And that's the last one. There we go. So now I'm getting out my utility knife here to remove the backers. There we go. A few more to go. And then we're going to add this to the card base. Okay, now we're ready. And we want to line this up just right. That's why I love those A2 layering die set from Waffle Flower. See, nice and perfect. That looks awesome. It's now time to add the sentiment to the front of the card. So I'm using some foam squares here, and this is a sentiment that I hot foiled. I used the Spellbinders Must Have Sentiment by Simon Hurley. That's a glimmer foil plate. So I'm going to show you how I did that. This is the clip I didn't think I wanted to show in my video today, but I went ahead and decided to show it. I'm not really good at explaining the process of the hot foiling. I just know how to do it. So it's not really an explanation or a tutorial per se in how to foil. It's just me showing you my process and how I do it. So I love all that shiny goodness that I just showed you. Oh my goodness, it's so pretty. And there's certain foils for certain machines and for certain techniques. And this is the glimmer foil from Spellbinders that I'm using. So this is the one that you want to use. So I turn on my hot foil machine. I'm letting it warm up. I'm getting my hot foil plate ready. So I already had trimmed up my foil. I wanted it a little bit bigger than the hot foil plate. And then I trimmed it around to make sure that it fit just right. And I did that with the cardstock. So the pretty side of the foil goes down. It faces the plate. Then the cardstock goes on top. And then we put the shims and the plate on top. And then now it's, since the green light went solid, then it's ready to go. So then I just hit the button there, the timer. And we wait for it. And as we wait for it, we're just, see, it doesn't really take that long for it to heat up and get ready. Okay, we disengage the platform from the hot foil machine, and then we do one pass through the Platinum 6 die cutting machine. We remove the spacer pad, the shim, and the cardstock, and let's see how it did. It looks like it foiled. Check this out. This is on the hammer mill cardstock. It did pretty good. So there we go. The nice thing about this set is it has a matching die, and the die is one piece. So you can cut them out all together at once. So I'm just taking some of the Spellbinders Best Ever Craft tape and putting some down on top of the die to hold it in place. There we go. And then we're going to run this through the Platinum 6 die cutting machine just once. There we go. And then we just take this off the cutting plates and we pop them out. And now we have sentiments for our cards, and we have several that we can save for later to use on another project. So look how good that came out. And see, that's why that's such a nice versatile set. Again, you can hear my dog in the background. Okay, there we go. Now we're ready to put the bling on the card. So these are a favorite of mine. I love using these. They're from Trinity Stamps. They are called the Gorgeous Golden Baubles Embellishment Mix. And I poured some out into my little triangle tray here. And I'm getting my embellishment tool to help place them down. Finding a good spot for them. I just kind of want to scatter them on the front of the card here. We'll do a nice odd number. There we go. Okay, this looks good. Okay, I think we'll do that. So we're almost done with this card project. So now I'm getting out my craft tacky glue here. And just putting a few dabs of glue down All you need to do is just put a little bit. That's all it takes. This glue is pretty strong. I like it a lot. And there we go. 2 more to do. As I'm finishing up, I just want to say thank you for watching my video, thumbs upping, and subscribing to my channel. It helps me out so very much. I appreciate it. So there's the finished card project for today. I love how it turned out. Thank you. Ciao for now.